let me bring my participants. And the Caroline?
Yeah, it's Caroline from PAG and statistics researcher.
Okay, then Yumi.
Yeah, I'm Yumi and I'm working as a data analyst.
Okay, thank you. And we have all three, but later and hope to just have Jeanette as well, but I will just update you later. Then just let's go ahead. Anthony?
Yeah, Anthony Batchelder, Pima County Finance Budget Division, overseeing property taxes for Pima County.
Great, thank you. And Dylan?
Dylan Perry, Senior Planner for the Town of Sahuarita.
And Elisa?
Good afternoon, everybody. Lisa Hamblin. I'm the zoning administrator for the city of Tucson.
Okay. Dean? Dean? Are you there? Dean Tremel?
Yeah, Dean Trammell, Civil Engineer, Tucson Water Department.
Okay, thank you. And Jim?
Yes, Jim is here.
Okay, great, thank you. And Josue?
Here, City of South Tucson.
Okay, thank you. Melanie?
Melanie Sims, Principal Planner with the Town of Oro Valley.
Okay, thank you. And Steve?
Steve Cheslock, Planning Manager for the Town of Marana.
Yeah, Mirella?
Mirella Hromadka, Regional Wastewater Senior Planner.
Thank you. And Tracy?
Tracy Gutheim, Operations Manager for Pima County Development Services.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone I missed? Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. And then second item in the agenda, in-kind reporting. Regional planning efforts are enhanced by recording time donated by attendees, volunteers, and participants. PAG collects data on the time dedicated to meetings and activities to apply for use as matching funds for grants and federal dollars. If you are paid with the federal dollars, please let us know now. And time spent in preparation for this meeting will be estimated by PAG staff who are knowledgeable of the agenda and meeting materials. And the conclusion of this meeting, this session report will automatically calculate your time spent in this meeting. Time spent working on PAG and RTA initiatives, programs, and the special project may also be eligible for consideration for matching funds. Thank you. Then moving forward for our agenda item number 3, 2023-2060 sub-county population projections. Caroline, would you go ahead?
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I just found out that Sarah from AOEO is just get back in. She was in, and then I think she lost the connection. So I don't know if you want her to introduce herself from AOEO. Tara.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, is this our daughter?
Yeah, she just got back. Probably, yeah, some microphone problem, but at least we have one more person. Tara, she is from AOEO, State Demographic Office. Good afternoon, everyone. Good. Thank you for joining the meeting. And I want to make sure that I have my PowerPoint slide working good. So just try to, okay. Good afternoon. This is a time of the year that we need to work on the population projection again. So I'm trying to see how to progress the slide.
Yeah, I don't know. I can
you
just
give me
move
the
forward.
Control, or I get the control. Just try to see.
Yeah, let me do this. And
it seems like I have the control.
Okay. So let me test it again. and then overview, and go back, and then I can move forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can just
Okay,
I
I'm
can
just have
help.
to tell
Yeah.
you that the next slide because I don't have the control of the slide.
Yeah, I
Okay.
will do.
Yeah. Also, for this presentation, I would mainly talk about the background, why we have the preparation, projection, what was the historical numbers, and we'll present you two models that PAG developed to calculate the forecast and to show you the result. And the last part is, major part is, want you to think about the projection and we discuss what's the numbers that what's the next step. The next slide about the background. The next slide. Yeah. First of all, in 2011, June 23rd, 2011, the previous governor, she signed an executive order to ask ADOA at that time, which is the state demographer office was under ADOA, and asked the office to produce 3 projections for the whole decade. And the 3 projection is you produce every year that's ended with 2, 5, and 8 to produce the county projection, not later than December 31st. And then 9 months later, have to publish the sub-county projection. That is a executive order in 2011. And then later on, several years later, AOE State Demographic Office changed to under AOEO. And this executive order was still applied to the new office under AOEO. So this projection is mainly used for the state agency for the planning purpose. And during the projection, this 3 projection period, use the estimate, the projection is based on the historical population estimate, and also use the census data that come out every 10 years to forecast the future. And it could be 30 years, 40 years time span, the horizon. But it will also, AOEO can decide the actual horizon, whether you go up to which year. So with the new census 2020 data, so this new one or 2022 county population projection is slightly changed compared to the previous projection in 2018, because 2018 projection was based on 2010 census. And this now, right now, this new 2022 county projection is based on 2020 population, census population count. So the new projection come out slightly, a little bit smaller than what it was 2018 come out. In last time it was 2055 was the time span that project up to 2055. And at that time it was 1.28 million. And this time we projected up to 1.25 million for Pima County. And right now we are doing the sub-county projection. And we, beside the population, have to reassign, change from what was 2018 numbers using the new census number to readjust it. We also, the boundary is different. We are using 2022 boundary instead of it was using 2018 boundary. The next slide, please. Yeah. So right now I'm showing you the 1980 to 2022, this historical population of Pima County, for the whole county. For these 40 years or 42 years, how the population changed. And you can, and I'm showing you mainly last 12 years for Marana and Pima County, how the population changed. This is annual growth. That means the population change divided by 12. That just simple annual growth. And you can see still Tucson and Pima County have the most number of population growth in last 12 years. And South Tucson had a drop because of census, mainly the census number come out have a drop, and the number will last 10 years between 2010 and 2020. That's a big drop for South Tucson. That's a negative 87 people. But Marana still have a strong growth last 12 years, and already Solivita also have good number of population increase each year. Next slide, can see. Yeah, and mainly this one slide, I'm looking at the share of population for the Pima County. Tucson has basically last 42 years is dropped from 63% of the population of Pima County, dropped down to 52% in 2022. So the population in Tucson is growing, but the growth is catch up by already Sharita and Marana. They have a large number of growth, and it take up the population share of Pima County. In particular, last 10 years, last 12 years, it has good increase of the share of the county by these several jurisdictions. So Tucson, South Tucson have a drop of population share, but other jurisdictions have pretty good growth of population share. The next slide. Yeah, and I look at the pattern. I particularly look at last 12 years, and Marana have pretty big number of growth. The major growth still Tucson and Pima County. You have 26,000 people growth the last 12 years, and Marana have 21,000. And so these three jurisdictions has the major growth of for the county population. In particular, Marana have a huge annual growth rate for 5.15%. And for the share of county, Marana, actually the growth is catching up. We have a 23% growth of the share. I mean, for small number of people in 2010 or 1980, compared to what the population now, the growth of the share of Pima County has significantly increased for 10%, bigger than other jurisdictions. The next one. So when PAG do the population projection, we consider one thing is about the annexation, is the boundary change. When the boundary change, mainly is the boundary basically is from unincorporated Pima County and move that chunk of boundary to the jurisdiction, Tucson, Marana, or already. That means basically is come from Pima County boundary. And many times when they have boundary change, in that annexation, they may or may not have population. So if there's a population already in that area, you move from Pima County to specific jurisdiction, it make a big change for the Pima County and that jurisdiction. We look at this graph is the orange one is the boundary, the population of that boundary at that time for population estimate. So you talk about 2010, what is the population at that time according to the population at that time and boundary at that time. So you look at that, why the population drop, it is because there was annexation in 2017 when Solivita have 730 people annexed. So Solivita suddenly increased 730 people because of annexation, and Pima County lost 730 people because of annexation in only just that time. And then also Tucson, on and off within these 10 years, have multiple different annexation, loss, cost, 2,000, 3,000 population change, move from Pima County to Tucson. So in that 2018, that was the time that the boundary changed, but there's no population. So there's no population change. I'm sorry. Last several years even have annexation by the jurisdiction, but the population, there's no change. But there was change in 2018, 2017, those several years when the boundary changed, the population changed, move the population from Pima County to the jurisdiction. So that's why you look at it, it's kind of really changed that the population, huge drop for Pima County because of annexation. But when we talk about doing the time series calculation forecast, this kind of job, they will create some problem for the trend, the time series trend. So it is important for us that we think about, well, if we look at the population for 2022 boundary, we look at what actually possible population in 2022 in 2010. So that's why we have made an adjustment. In 2010, the blue line is what was the population in 2010 with 2022 boundary. So it adjusts that population, move that population out from Pima County in 2010. So we look at that, the time series, actually, the trend is more makes sense, that more smoother rather than have a big dip. It create that dip, it will create the future forecast have frustration. And so this is a lot smoother trend for this one. Okay, next slide. And this is, we look at the annexation adjustment. Before we change as annexation, just before we change the population, this is the blue one. The blue table is what the population before the adjustment. And you see mainly Tucson have 5,200 people, in 2010, and go up to 554,000 people in 2022, and Pima County 353,000. And you see the annual growth rate, and you see the trend of growth for Tucson and Pima County. And these two major change, population change because of annexation. And then when you look at the green table, you see how the difference is 6,000, almost 7,000 population swap between Tucson and Pima County. And you can see the growth rate change from 0.5% to 0.4%, because the population is for Pima County is no longer that high in the boundary right now. 2022 boundary, assume it's only 345,000 people in this boundary, and so the growth for Pima County actually is higher. It used to become 0.59% population growth within these 12 years, instead of only 0.42% growth. So it makes the difference about how it grows for each jurisdiction if we do the adjustment of annexation. So we basically, actually, we can have three sets of numbers from the forecast. One is from AOEO, which is they have their model for time series model. For this PopTech meeting, we are not presenting their model. We concentrate to look at what the two models come from PAG. The two models, if one is time series, we consider about the hot model and the brown model and a remote model. Then another completely different set of numbers come out is 2019 county share, which is what we look at what was the share growth of the population. Let me rephrase it. What each jurisdiction, what six jurisdiction, how the growth of their county share for their forecast in the forecast, and we apply the share in this new round of 2022 sub-county population projection. So this one for time series, we have this. First of all, we definitely would do the 2022 boundary adjustment. So all the time series, all the input data is using 2022 boundary population And so we go back with our time series, basically calculate from 1980 calculation, except Florida is not incorporated until 1995. And also South Tucson, actually, the number, the historical number was had lots of noise. So we use 2020. We start from, 2000. We started from 2000 as our series. And then at the same time for All Valley is we have our land use model developed, and we estimate that according to the existing All Valley capacity, we consider that is already up to their growth capacity. So when they get to the growth capacity, we stop their growth in the forecast. So we're not putting more people for already after they reach the capacity limit. So for the time series, we try to maximize, get our alpha, beta, get the maximize, then the multiplier, the alpha, beta, we optimize what the number alpha, beta will be, which is try to get them minimize the error number. So all three model, Hawk, Arima, and Brown, we get the optimization tool and we calculate all the six jurisdictions with all three models. That means we actually have 18 sets of projection. 3 models for each jurisdiction have 18 sets of numbers. Next slide. Yeah, so we come after we have 18 numbers for each jurisdiction, have 3 sets. So we pick 1 model for each jurisdiction. What you're seeing is what we pick. So Miranda already, Florida, Tucson, and Pima County is Brown model that we pick. And there's a South Tucson, we pick Arima, which is CO21. And you can see the R square and MAPI and RMSE that they are error. That means how much error that creates. So they basically actually is a small, we consider the small error that when we pick the model, we pick the one that have a relative small error for the jurisdiction. So you look at 6 numbers, 6 sets of numbers for 6 jurisdictions. And they are not controlled. They are purely come from the model. The numbers come from the model before adjusted to the county control. And you can see the trend, how it goes for each jurisdiction. And South Tucson, you see that it is starting from 2000 because the input data before 2000 is really up and down, a lot of noise, and the R square is bad. It's only 0.6 instead of 0.9. Right now, you see it's 0.97. It was only 0.6, and a lot of error and high percentage of error. So it's not reliable. The model come out from South Tucson. If I put it 1980, so you see, Florida start from 1995 because that is the year that they started to incorporate. And all these input data are annexation adjusted. So it is the number after the annexation change. And you can see how the growth trend for each model. Next slide, please. Okay, so we also look at the number. I briefly give you a summary for the numbers. And South Tucson has a population share job. That is our forecast. Go with our historical numbers. Historical is they are dropping the share, and we continue forecast the project that if possible also dropping the share. And Marina continue to increase the share. And then already you see that the capacity stop growing, and we stop at 55,850. that is the number that we calculate their capacity. And once they reach the capacity, we stop putting more people for All Valley. And this number you see, it is controlled. That means the previous slide, it is uncontrolled. All 6 jurisdictions add together is larger than the Pima County forecast by AOEO. So that means those 6 numbers that you see from the previous slide, we have to shrink them. We have ratio down back to the Pima County control in that, the right-hand side in that table. That is a Pima County total number is a control generated by AOEO back in December last year. So this 6 number of the 6 jurisdiction, we use the time series number, we shrink it, make it align with Pima County control. And so this is the number that we can see that in 2060, Marina that we expected over over 100,000 people, and then already stayed constant 55,000. Once it reached in 2033, it reached the capacity, we stay constant. And then Sharita, we expect a possible 51,000. And then South Tucson drop it is 3,000. So we see all those numbers that how the population growth for each jurisdiction. And the annual growth for each jurisdiction, we still expect that Miranda have 1,000 people increase. Tucson and Pima County also have 2,000 people increase each year. It's the annual growth, which is just only from 2023 to 2060. For those 8 years, we the total population growth and divide by 38. That is how come up that annual growth number. The growth rate, you see Miranda have a strong growth for 2.65%. And share growth is the total growth, the whole Pima County. Which jurisdiction have contributed the growth? Tucson and Pima County still contribute 33% of growth for these 38 years. And Miranda contribute 24% growth. Next slide.
Just in case, you see that like just the right side and on the bottom in the chart, and the see that pattern like as a City of Tucson, starting with in 2020, then just a 52%, then just a shrinking, and in 2060 and 48%. But those but the growth rate itself is actually just Pima County and just the City of Tucson is the major.
Yeah,
and which is the kind of just the split in even.
You still have a population significant 2,000 population growth. It's just a share of the whole Pima County. It kind of drop a little bit. It kind of slowly drop the share, but it's still you have 2,000 people drop, 2,000 people increase every year. So this is time series model, and we look at the next one. The next slide. Yeah. So we look at the next method. It's completely different model. We are not doing time. This is not the time series. We just look at the county share, how the share of the jurisdiction, how it contribute to the whole county. That means what's the percentage of the Pima County for each jurisdiction, and how it change, how it grow. So the same thing, we assume this 2022 boundary. And then also same population share that we have in last time. And then we look at the what also change the forecast because the annexation changed. So we definitely will adjust the boundary. And for this one, we assume South Tucson have not considered the share method. So we just keep it constant. For this one, we keep it constant on census number, or the last, actually said it well, it's the last population estimate. So we consider South Tucson have the same number without continue dropping the population, we keep it stable as the last population estimate. And we still will consider the already population capacity. We will, once you hit the capacity, we keep it constant, no change. But the last slide, see a number. Yeah, this is the same what you show you last 2 slides ago, the table and the share and the population growth. This is different method, so definitely the numbers come out different. But it's also is controlled. So when I calculate, we have all those numbers for each jurisdiction come out, and then I need to shrink it back to actually when I calculate growth, how it go, it is not exactly get to the control number. So I still slightly actually we adjust to get the county total. So you see, Marana still get to the 100,000 people. It's still up to 100,000 people, and this time because the trend is slightly different, so already we hit the capacity a little bit later. Instead of 2033, this time it's 2041. We hit the capacity because the growth rate is slightly different. And Sarita, and we expect that possible will grow to 62,000. And South Tucson, we keep it 4,599. That is the population estimate from AOEO in 2022, and we keep it constant. We don't consider that the share, the calculated share for South Tucson. For Pima County and Tucson, you can see the growth actually is still very strong. That they have over 1,000, 2,000 population increase with the high percentage of the growth rate. And so you see how the share in that chart, and Pima County have the share in 2022 from 34% and slightly drop up to 33%. So it's not really a huge drop. It's a slight drop. For Tucson, still the number come out very, very close to what our time series. If you look at the number 631,000, this number in 2060, Tucson had, we forecast 6,331,000. This number actually very, very close to time series number that I showed you 2 slides ago. So Tucson, the population share, it is dropped about 2%, which is similar to what the time series model come out. It is the Solorita and already maintained no because of capacity constant. So we don't really have a big change for already. It is Solorita that will have a different for the share, that because the numbers come out differently. And Marana also have big number of increase of the population share of the county. So this is the method that slightly different number come out from the time series number. Let's look at the individual jurisdiction. Let's look at the next slide for the result. Yeah, this is Marana's number.
And
yeah.
Ron, there's just the five minutes left.
Yeah,
and then
let's
maybe...
go very quick for each jurisdiction. So this is Marana, and the blue color one that is the time series, and the orange one is the county share, is the one, the 2019 county share growth method, and the gray color one, it is the 2019 projection number, which is at that time it was the average of 2 methods. So this is the new projection for blue and the orange one. It is looks like have a more growth, larger number than the previous projection, and the growth have higher. So let's look at the already. I think we can go very fast already, and you see because of capacity constraints. So you see the growth seems like it's faster than previous projection, just slightly faster than the previous projection, but end up in 2060, you still have to go back to 55,850 people capacity. And so growth rate, the percentage slightly changed, but it is come up to the same number at the end of the horizon. Next one is show the reader. So this is one that little bit quite changed, quite different from last projection. The time series we get the blue one, it seems like it's come up the forecast is lower number, but the county share, the orange one, it give a higher number than the previous projection, than 2019 projection. So it is have very different outcome from these two methods, with the annual growth from 1.1% of the time series to almost 2% for the county share in different method. So we can have discussion about that later on. Next one for South Tucson. Yeah, so South Tucson, you see the gray color one. Why it's so different is because in 2018 projection, it was using 2010 population, 2010 census. All the population estimate at that time is using 2010 census as the base to calculate the population estimate. So at that time, the estimate gave South Tucson was higher, and project we estimate that we forecast kind of constant, keep it constant, and so it keep it 5,600. That numbers because it was the estimate at that time 4 years ago. We keep it constant. Then right now with the census, new number 2020 census, there was a big drop for South Tucson. South Tucson lost about 1,000 people from the census 2020. So with the big numbers change, the estimate change. And also AOU have to, after the census, AOU have changed the whole decade from 2010 to 2020. Population estimate have to readjust. We have to, they propose census population estimate. They changed the population estimate between 2010 to 2020. The whole decade population estimate was changed. So it was dropped. So it dropped that population to only 4,000 something. So this is the new population estimate have to end up get us to have a new projection for South Tucson. For Tucson, you see that the blue one and the orange one is very close to each other. So they're almost together because you almost not see the blue one. The blue color one is time series because it's just so close to each other. So it's together. And the projection is slightly lower than what it was in 2019 projection. And so, but the growth rate basically were similar for two methods that we are proposing to you. We can look at the Pima County. And also the same, the Pima County, the blue one, give Pima County a slightly larger number of growth. It gives us 55.55% annual growth. But the orange one is the county share method that which is very similar to 2019 projection and give the Pima County that is 0.43% annual growth. So you see the time series method have a larger growth and the county share method have a little smaller growth. And so the timeline is we have to need to get our PAG population projection, get everything approved to submit to the management committee, which is early May. They have a meeting. We have to submit to them to get them approved. Once they approve that, they have to we have to pass it on to the regional council, which is at the end of May. So what happened is, well, we have to discuss with the jurisdiction, which right now why you're here, and we will share our numbers year by year, every numbers in a spreadsheet and share with you, and hopefully we can discuss what the next step, what method, what number will come out. We need your approval by before April 21st. So we will propose that we will have another PopTech meeting, particular to pass to approve the final version of population projection on or before April 21st, so that we can prepare the package to submit to management committee to get approved in early May and then move on to regional council at the end of May. So right now we would like to have open up for any discussion, what you want for the projection for these two sets of number. And of course, the AOEO has another set number we have not present to you because it's not from PAG. We not come from PAG. Don't know if you want to see AOEO's number or what.
Caroline,
that's more.
But that's actually just a little later, and we don't have just a timeline and including that. But we can actually just review and our just kind of just a reference, and but which may not be just a great idea to just consider that. But we will definitely review those. But we are suggesting right now just a 2 time series and the county share. But according to just our evaluation, because of the recent trend, and we incorporate in just a time series model, the reason like just a little bit of a shift is based on those in the county and the balance of county, and the portion is actually just strong for those the 10 years roughly, and recent just kind of increase actually just the benefited to just the Pima County more. That also affects just the other and Sahuarita and the town of Marana, and then Oro Valley has its capacity issue, and but and those and actually just happen to other and towns, and so those are kind of just the balance. And but as you see, and the more likely just the similar just the patterns we see earlier. But we suggest in our just the model is just based the time series. But if you have any just a question or just a likely just that we had earlier, and if you want to just suggest some other just the methodology, we can kind of just simply and show that just the process or just the spreadsheet and the sharing together. But because of the really just the type timeline, and I'm sorry just for this kind of a little late kind of just assessment, and we'd like to kind of just move forward and to just have our Pima County and the sub-county population projection.
Yeah, will you please right now this time is to open up the discussion. So any jurisdiction, any comment, any suggestion, or what you suggest PAG to do, or what, because we need to come up a final version half a month later for another PopTech to approve. Yeah, is anyone have a comment, please?
I know for me, I'm just still looking through the numbers and trying to kind of compare everything. So
do you want to look at the slide, Hinshu? Maybe you
I
can...
actually took screen grabs of a couple of them, so I'm just going back and forth between. So you're saying your recommendation right now is the time series?
Yes,
well, but that's according to our analysis, because of it's actually better, but just in case we brought 2 options.
Okay.
And the county share and the time series, those 2.
Okay. I do like that you are I like the holding South Tucson steady portion. That was bothering me because I don't see them actually.
Yeah, I understand.
Increasing.
Yeah, because the time series will get them to very small number, 3,600. That is low. Yeah, I understand. So actually, that's what happened in 2019. We keep it constant. That's what we did in 2019. And actually, 2019, when we did the last projection, we actually get the average of 2 different methods. We average out. So that's what we did in 2019. So right now, it's open the jurisdiction. If you have any recommendation, you have any suggestion, or you have opinion, right now, this is time that tell us what you think. Yes, I agree that we probably should keep it constant. Yes.
Yeah, I think, even if we do the times series, I think salary or South Tucson needs an adjustment.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't reflect a reality as I see it.
Exactly, I understand. So the possible that we
then just maybe we can adjust a little bit, and based on your thought, and you want to just have you think just a time series is good, then just even just the time series, or you want to just compare those two with in the South Tucson and around the 4,600 and the population as a for the forecast year as well.
I want to personally look back through them, but
we definitely, we also will email you all the numbers, right? Because we will send you the spreadsheet and don't look at every numbers. So right now, of course, it's a very short time. We don't really have a lot of time for long discussion. So we definitely want everyone discuss about the numbers, but we also open up that later on when you get the numbers, you can think about deeply or more, more time and more detail to think about the numbers, and maybe you have others, another viewpoint actually. And also, I don't know if Roseway, you are from South Tucson. What do you think about opinion about the South Tucson situation?
Hi, yeah, I agree. At a minimum, just try to keep it level. What it's been for at least the last couple of decades. As you know, we talked this morning. I think we're undercounted, and we'll have to do some work going backwards. I don't know, like I mentioned earlier today, maybe a census challenge, but at a minimum, even if it doesn't go that high, and the challenge wise, but at least to try to get more numbers for our region, more close to what they really are. I think we're really, really low what we're showing here.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, thank you. And but I wonder, because of, I'm sorry, just a time limit, and I want to just ask Dylan and Saurita, and I'm not sure, just because of we see some difference, and especially Saurita. I wonder if you have any comments and any questions.
I mean, as far as it goes for us, I just want to look at the numbers a little closer. Just take a chance to look over the slides before I really make any comment on it.
Okay, then just we will prepare and at least just the 3 and the existing time series and the modified version, especially for South Tucson and the time series, and plus just 2019 and the population share model, at least just that we can share. And then about in the other jurisdictions in the Oro Valley, or just not sure, just the Oro Valley actually just participated earlier 2019 about this discussion and for the capacity and the portion.
Yeah.
Oro Valley, do you have any thought or just a comment regarding that?
Similar to what everybody else did, I just want to stare at the numbers a little bit more, but we do know without annexation, we're getting pretty close to build out. So, and we also have we have a permit drop off within the next 5 years pretty significantly if we don't annex. So,
Okay, great. Thank you. How about just the Marana?
It's not bad. I'm okay with it, honestly. I see, where the share is up from 2019. And the numbers really through 2038, say 40, it's pretty tight between the two. And then it's a little bit more divergent. And that's so far out. This will be adjusted by then, I think so.
Okay, great. Thank you. Then how about the City of Tucson? Do you have any comments or just any idea?
Yeah, Yelisa and Dean. I think Yelisa and Dean, both you're here, right?
Yeah, I don't have any comments. Nice presentation, and I will take a second look at this when I get a chance.
Okay.
How about Lisa? You have anything, any thought?
She said she had to step out about midway.
Oh, okay.
I'll touch base with her.
Yeah, great. But at least just the two model numbers, they're very close to each other. So, and I think this is yeah, good for City of Tucson. How about just the Pima County and the Tracy, maybe additional comments you have?
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back through everything just like everyone else. I'm pretty comfortable, with the exception of
Tucson,
in the
South
time
Tucson.
series, the one thing with South Tucson that just even before you showed the second model, that was bothering me. So, and it's an artifact of 2020.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, then great. And because of the time limit, and we actually just will prepare in the spreadsheet and including just the whole series from 2022 through 2060 for each jurisdiction. And we can just, we will add just one more and like just a time series and width and the South Tucson adjustment. And then just because of I'd like to just have those kind of just the PopTech approval and as discussed in around the time like just before in the 21. So I wonder if you are available, the timeline like just the April 19th or just the 21 and the Wednesday through Friday, the morning and just the afternoon.
Yeah, we instead of doodle poll that I sent to you guys, we can go ahead to just talk about any particular days that you cannot have a PopTech meeting, that we can kind of nail down what's the possible PopTech in mid-April. So we can kind of nail down a day, and so that we don't need to send a doodle. We just can decide it now if possible. Is there any particular date that you can't do it in April 19, 2021, those 3 days, morning, afternoon, any date? You cannot do it. Any time spot, you can.
Sure. So Mulaney with Oro Valley, I can't the morning of the 21st.
Okay.
There's
April 21st morning, you cannot do it. Okay.
City of Tucson, Elisa and I have meetings the morning together, the morning of the 21st. And we have, there's a stakeholder meeting on the 20th that's kind of goes from 11 to 1:30. Everything else can kind of be moved around for me.
Okay.
But Elisa and I both have those two things. So I know it'll not.
So if we have a meeting, because it is going to look at the final version and we need a quorum to vote approval. So
then how about
should not be a long meeting. We can maybe go earlier, like 9 a.m. so that you can still can attend it and before your next meeting, or we can do it like maybe 2 o'clock after you finish your meeting and jump into PopTech. Is it possible like that? Yeah, because
first
it shouldn't be too long, the meeting. We just discuss one item. So far, we think about maybe just one item to look at the projection, and we need quorum to pass it, to get approval.
Yeah, we're done by, our joint meeting on Friday's done by 9:30. And I know I'm open after that. I don't know what Elisa's looks like, but we do have that on Fridays.
But the Thursday, you talk about, you also have meeting on Thursday, right? Also.
Thursday is around the noontime hour. It's like 11 to 1:30. It's a stakeholder meeting that we both attend. But I think I can move everything around outside of that.
So that means possible that we can have meeting before 11 o'clock, finish up by before 11, or we can start at 2 o'clock. And then when you finish up on Thursday after 2 o'clock, something like that. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, then how about in the, is there anyone is actually not doable in the 20th, 9 a.m.?
Yeah,
As of now, South Tucson can do 9 a.m. on the 20th.
Okay, great. Thank you for confirmation, Josue.
Yeah, if we can get it on the calendar soon, that helps.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know why
Anthony?
this month is already so crazy, but it is.
Understand, yeah. That's why instead of doodle, how about we just talk about it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony, you have a question?
I just can't do anything on the 20th. It's looking like our training team set a placeholder all day for some training that day for some reason, and they haven't picked a time. The Friday, the 21st, is good for me. I mean, I can work around on the 20th, so whatever gets scheduled on the 20th, I can try to pop in and be there when I can. They haven't set a time for what the training schedule is going to be that day. They just block the whole day for us, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I can be flexible on the 20th and try to jump in so I can help out, do what I can. But 21st is good to go for me.
Yeah.
And how about 19th? What's the situation about 19th?
19th, I'm booked solid all day meetings.
Oh, so you have 19th is out. So 20 possible, may or may not, mostly probably not. But 21st, you possible can make it.
I would say 20th, I have a probability of being able to jump in at some point. I just don't know when. 21st, I'm completely open.
Okay. But 19th is actually out. Okay. Sure.
Okay, then the Pima County and either and Anthony and you guys are okay, like just having and one of them joining. Or and the Friday and because of I think it's just the city says like it's just at 9:30 and how about just at 10 a.m.
I'll be in a meeting till 10:30, but after 10:30, I'm free.
Up to 10:30, 11 a.m. and 21.
I'm good. Pima County.
Yeah, thank you.
Or valid with that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Melanie. And how about the Marana?
Yeah, it's good for Marana.
Okay, and City or Dean, you're there?
Yeah, what was the date and time again?
21, 11 a.m. 21 Friday, 11 a.m. Which will be around 1 hour.
Yeah, I can be available Friday the 21st at 11.
Okay, great. Thank you. And any other and jurisdictional partners that are available?
It'll work for Saurita.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.
That works for me also. This is Jim from OYO.
Okay, great.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, any comments or not available? So Friday, 21, April 21, 11 a.m. Okay, then just after just the agenda and for this next PopTech meeting and only for just a Subcommittee projection, the approval, and we will just send out actually meeting invite and at the April 21 at 11 a.m.
The most important, we send you this Excel, the data, the numbers that you can look at it, and feel free to ask us question and don't need to wait until 21st to talk about it. And you're welcome to email or call me, and we can look at it and we can work on the numbers. Yeah, because if I need to prepare the final version, you give me more feedback, more comments, and I can work on the numbers before work on the final version. But it will be actually easier. We can talk about earlier.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. And moving on, next agenda item number 4, land use redevelopment model update. Because of time and it's not much left, but we try to just the finish up by around just 2:30 ish. And today, actually, just Eric is not available, and unfortunately, so I'm going to just make up and for his portion, and Yumi will discuss about the residential redevelopment model first, then I will cover and the commercial redevelopment model. Okay, Yumi, would you go ahead and update, please?
Hi, I'm Yumi, and I'm working on the residential land redevelopment model. Today, I'm going to talk about the summary of the residential land redevelopment model and additional review on parcels having the multifamily student housing and mixed-use development. And at the last PopTech meeting, I presented how I developed residential redevelopment choice model. So you can get some more details in the following the web page. And next slide, please. Where can I? Okay. Residential land redevelopment model is developed by applying multinomial logic model on the choice of sites for land redevelopments. A multinomial logic model would capture how land redevelopment is chosen based on the utility associated with each alternative land developments. Multinomial logic model is based on utility maximization theory, in which people make their decision to maximize their utility. And for land redevelopment, parcel giving the maximum utility will be selected for redevelopment among alternative parcels. And residential land redevelopment choice model will help us understand how each land use attributes effect on the choice of location for land redevelopment. Furthermore, we could predict land redevelopment in a future year by applying the calibrated model to get the probability of being redeveloped at a target year. And here is a residential land redevelopment choice model. It has a building square feet, year build, FAR, floor area ratio, and land size as a significant land use factors to land redevelopment choice. And according to the sign of a model, a parcel having larger square footage of a building or land is more likely to be redeveloped, and a parcel of older building or having lower FAR has a higher probability of being redeveloped. And next, please. The estimated model is validated in two methods. The first method compared the predicted redevelopment and observed the redevelopment by TAG level. And according to this method, 91% of the TAG matches well. It means that the percentage of having both the predicted redevelopment and observed redevelopment in the same TAG is 91%. The second method talks about how much the model predicts both the redevelopment and non-redevelopment compared to observed data. And I got 0.77 of accuracy, 0.4 of sensitivity, and 0.84 of 0.54 of sensitivity and 0.84 of specificity. And for your reference, the sensitivity is the share of redeveloped developments accordingly predicted over total number of redevelopments in observed data, and specificity is the percentage of non-redeveloped buildings correctly predicted out of a total number of non-redevelopment in observed data. And accuracy means how much does the model predict both redevelopment and non-redevelopment compared to observed data. So accuracy is comprised of both the sensitivity and specificity. And next, please. And I review a residential redevelopment choice model with multifamily developments, student housing, and mixed use developments. First, I double check modeling database of the calibration and validation to see whether the data set includes parcels having multifamily developments and student housing and or mixed use developments, and where it has. And parcels with multifamily and student housing are included in the data set for modeling residential land redevelopment. So as you can see in the table below, there are mixed complex, duplex, fourplex, the apartment in the data set for residential component. And the mixed complex here means that the more than 2 residences exist on the same parcel. And these residences consist of any mix of a single family, multiple dwelling units, or a fixed manufactured homes according to the use code. And next, please. And there are 54 parcels with student housing developments for 2018. And among them, 4 parcels having student housing are included in the data set for residential redevelopment. And next, please. And I'm not sure whether you already noticed or not, but none of recent big redevelopments of student housing around the University of Arizona are included in the data modeling data sets. For example, Urbane, Hobbit, Tucson, Soli, Luna, etc. So that is because the data set, modeling data set, does not have parcels having a record of being split or merged between 2011 and 2021. So I examine whether a residential redevelopment choice model would capture the recent big student housing developments nearby U of A between 2011 and 2021 or not, using 2011 dataset. And for this exercise, I added 5 student housing, including Urbane, Hobbit, Tucson, Emily Apartment, Soli, Luna, and the retreat at Tucson, to a very validation data set. And next, please. And the probability of being redeveloped for each student housing redevelopment is calculated using the residential land redevelopment choice model. And the result was yes. The model gives a high probability of being redeveloped to the 5 big student housing redevelopments. But according to the first validation method, the overall accuracy of a model is reduced. So I support the idea of giving a priority on known project or planned area developments before applying a residential redevelopment the model. So the overall accuracy of a land redevelopment projection would be the increase. Also, it can help in and ensuring that the land redevelopment project align with the overall vision for the area, and the project is feasible given the zoning regulation and other requirements in place. And next, please. Next, going back to the original data review, does the modeling data set have parcels with mixed use developments? The data set for commercial land redevelopment has parcels having mixed use developments, and there are 2 types of the mixed use development: notice store and office, or store and apartment combination, or store and single family residence, duplex, triplex, fourplex, or manufactured home combination. And you can check the percentage of it. Yeah, and that's all I prepared for residential redevelopment model.
Okay, thank you. And just in case, do you have any question for residential redevelopment model? Okay, then just I will talk about the commercial redevelopment model. And this is Eric's work, and Eric spent a lot of time and mainly just focusing on just the non-residential side, as mentioned, and because of split residential, non-residential, the redevelopment model. And this is the kind of a similar model we are currently just have, and for our SAM and the sub area allocation model. And calculating just the suitability score, actually just the utility, and up to estimate just the probability, and the same like just a logic model, and you may discussed used in our just a SAM. And for this calibration validation work is the pseudo and the calibration validation, because of we applied like just the map review and the visual check, and it's more likely, and other than like just statistical and the comparison, and or just the likelihood to maximization, sort of kind of just analysis. And instead of that, we do a visual check and adjusting our just the parameters. And for here, for our just calibration validation, we have just the main assumptions too. And for our just the employment location as our indicator, higher density means and the higher potential for redevelopment. A caveat, and only just the current 2020 employment and data was available because of our just the base year target. Base year is a 2010. Our just target year, forecast year target is a 2020 for our just the model validation. But unfortunately, just the 2010 and the employment data is not available. So we actually just assume, and we have a similar pattern back in 2010 compared to our just 2020 employment patterns. So plus just because of this is the parcel to parcel comparison, and so we aggregate in our just the validation size, and because of the parcel to parcel comparison, and the scale might be just too small. And for our just redevelopment potential, we consider the 3 year build improvement to land value ratio, ILV, and the floor area ratio, FAR. So we developed like just tier 1 to 3 for each item, and then also just disqualification, and for those in the back in 2010 based on base year, and 2010 if it's actually just more than that, and the later year, for example year built, and after built in 2010 or just the year 2010, then we disqualify that as considered and for development potential. So same, just the ILV, and the disqualification applies like a 0.8 and the FAR 0.3. So, and for those in the 3 different items and the 3 different and the tiers, so to simplify it, and we actually just rescale it and the ranking, and based on just the 1 to 3 for each 3 items, and 1 and the tier 1 is the highest potential, tier 7 is the lowest potential. And also just we assume that like just those teardrops, and then assume those considered as a redevelopment. So for our just evaluation of our just the total and the non-residential parcel, little under 10,000, and among those 317 was considered as like just redeveloped in the non-residential teardrops, which is roughly just a 3.3%. And to apply just our existing the model and using the SAM, and we have just our own just the business sectors, employment sectors, and the industrial, retail, wholesale, service, and fire. As we are using just the land use classification from assessor's office, so we have to just match those together. But there are some straightforward and the match, like a warehouse and typically just industrial. But there are some other such like on the bottom in the county commercial property is we consider that as a public, which might be retail, service, fire, or just available, or miscellaneous commercial, and either of them we can just choose, and but there are some just uncleared portion, and but we assume and or just randomly select if that case happens. And here's the model on the bottom. That's actually just including parameters for our just the lodging model, the suitability calculation. So considering and discrete transportation infrastructure, arterial freeways, and accessibility to population employment, also spatial density value of current business concentration by sector. So we just applied in the trial and error and adjusting it to the coefficients to have just the best fit. So using just the kernel density maps, and I can show you later. And because of the suitability score and is the up and down quite different, so we have to just normalize and to have the fit in like just 0 to 100% and the probability. And this is the lodging model, exactly the same, just the form and used for residential redevelopment model. And for and this is because of this model should be used for forecast year, the model and the development. And so we considered like just currently we are using just the EVRC forecast. So we go back to the 2010 and the forecast and the 2020 numbers. So that's actually roughly estimated, but the total and the square footage for redevelopment forecast year 2020 is a 1.2 million square footage, and so that was estimated. And so this is one of the how to just allocate those and the growth. And so highlighting just the 30% of data actually just set aside for our validation. And also we allocate just the highest probability first, and smaller parcel building square footage are prioritized after probability calculation because of that's because of the realism about considering just the redevelopment costs, and larger development and will happen just a lower probability. And plus just the option to set max job allocation per parcel, and also just the favors a smaller redevelopment. And aggregated in just the TAG for our just the validation check, and for in here just the best result and calibration points. And we can compare the current 2020 employment, the by sector, and plus just the teardrops and the changes. So for first in the industrial sector, there are some measures based on our just the suitability score. But the result shows that we consider the 527 validation parcels out of roughly 1,800, 61 parcels are selected for redevelopment. And we set up actually just the maximum per and the parcel is a 10. And the 6 out of 70 is matched, and which means that actually is the positive employment based on our just the employment database, and those in the teardrops is actually in the positive numbers, and we see those redevelopment patterns. So here you see left side is actually just the kernel density map, and based on our just a probability calculation using just a suitability score for industrial sector. Then those and highlighted just shapes and are for the TAGs, the matched, and the hashed is actually no match to TAGs. And each dot and the parcels out of those and roughly around the 10,000 is the commercial and the parcels. So right side is actually our 2020 and employment data, and showing that just the pattern as you see along just the I-10 and the SR210. So those are the kind of just a highlighted area for industrial sector, which is quite similar, and based on our just the probability calculation, also just highlighting 4 and the major points. And the left side is exactly the same, just a probability calculation, but the right side is only just based on just the teardrops. But the teardrops actually can be happened because that's the really happened in 2020. But as you see, those in the based on the kernel density, the highlighted areas also just aligned with our just the probability, and so which means that just close to each other about those in the development patterns. And for a retail, and we actually set aside in the validation 766 and 59 parcels and selected for the redevelopment. And we set up and the maximum employment for retail is a 5, and the 5 out of 20 TAG is actually just to match it. And here's the result, and highlighting just the 2 major in the shopping centers in the Tucson Mall and the Park Place Mall and around. So this is the actually in the 2020 employment, and the density, kernel density, and the patterns is same as the one like we see here left, and the highlighted around just the Tucson Mall and Park Place Mall. So those are kind of a pattern, and it's likely just shaded here, but we also have those in around the downtown and the development, and I'm sorry, just the employment. and also we have some probability, but major portion was highlighted, which is a slightly not just a matched, but the patterns kind of just the same to each other. And this is the same and for retail, and the left side is the probability, and on the right side is same as the teardrops and actually just happened, but the dose and concentration based on the kinetic density map shows that just a similar pattern. For wholesale, which is quite similar to just the industrial sector, and the 5 out of 7 TAGs actually matched. And here the map shows that redevelopment, the probability, and C around is a similar pattern, and wholesale is just slightly different, more likely just same as the industrial sector along just the I-10 and SR210, and those are kind of just the highlighted area. And based on our just the employment data, also our just the probability and calculated by the model. So same like left side, exactly same, just the probability calculated from our model. Then right side is the actual just the teardrops, and see that in the quite just similar. And highlight because of the highlighting location is a little different, but still following the I-10 and SR210. And fire is a little bit problem and not matched well because of the all over the places and according to our data sets. And so which actually just a probability as a highlighting, just a similar pattern, but those are not quite just aligned well in our selection. And then just the same pattern, the probability, but it's actually the data set, the teardrops is quite just limited. So it shows a little different and opportune to kind of just the results. And because I hope to just be and improved and as having more just a data set. And service area is one of the, this is the largest sector in our just the region. And as you see, and most of just the area in just the downtown, there's just those in the Tanky Birdie and the Grant area is highlighted, and but it's more likely all over the in Cedar of Tucson area. And but it's actually off-tuned and calibration. We try to just move and this highlighted portion to just the upper side and close downtown, but we're still just trying to, but still and showing that it's a bit hard to just change the pattern a little bit just higher. But as you see, and more likely just this core area is covered. And this is the pattern. Our just a probability calculation, but interestingly, and it's kind of just a similar, and highlighting and the areas are very similar to each other, and based on our just the teardrops, and actually we developed the service sector. And public, which is the one of the worst in the result, and 0 out of 9 that TAGs match it, and because of the data is a little different. And our just the probability calculation based on the calibration work, and it shows that downtown because of we have a lot just the public sector and in downtown area. But as you see, and in our just the employment database, we see there are some highlighted locations, including just the Valencia and around, which is the Kino Parkway and I-10. So those are the public sector highlighted, and as well as just the Davis Mountain Air Force Base. But just the probability calculation, just the 2 areas are highlighted because of the densities is so high, and just the downtown area. And this is the opportune, and because of the data scarcity, and so and the highlighting here, and that might be better, but actually just the density is for the teardrops is different. And just side by side comparison, but we actually estimated for 1.3 million, but because of the data itself is different, and the opportune and our realized and assignment is 931,000 and building square feet. So those are kind of just the overall and allocation of just our model and based on developed in the commercial size of redevelopment model. And here's the for this effort, we didn't include those known project. We have data set is separated. So because of some just the issues we found, but it can just improve for our just the validation result if we can just include that. And but we'd like to just and incorporate further in the infill incentive districts or other maybe the Pima County is a promoted area. So such like that we can and apply some just the model and the tweak and to just improve the results. And if we have just joining information and it would be just great and to improve just our redevelopment model. So I think this is the portion. And do you have any questions about the model?
I think looking at it, it looked like maybe, one of the existing projects that's going to be a big redevelopment will be Foothills Mall.
Mhm.
Looked like maybe that was popping up in the service
Yes.
sector.
So yeah, Foothills Mall, the case is we considered that regarding our just last just exercise, we consider that as a known project because
Okay.
of it's kind of a make sure. And we have some sort of like a timeline actually moving forward, and the county is kind of a push and strongly and to make it happen. So those could be incorporated in our just a known project, and those in the list will be shared and later,
Mhm.
and when we do the long range transportation planning effort.
And I think we'll see going forward, but I don't think we have enough data yet on it, that you'll find in some of the public sector stuff, a shrinking
Mhm.
of the public sector. I know the county's got initiatives to shrink our footprint in our, county buildings and things like that, but I don't think we know enough yet what that's going to look like.
Okay, yeah. So if you have a further and information, we'd like to just incorporate that.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything yet, but I think in
Okay.
another year or so, we'll know more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And any other comments or just a question? Okay, then just moving forward, only one just the final item and number 5, census data product timeline and the RMF data request. So, and we discussed for a while about the 2020 census count to question resolution, CQR. And as mentioned earlier, June 30, 2023 is the deadline for governmental units to submit all documentation for a CQR case. So if you have any kind of just the area you want to just double check with the census and or just if you have any question about developing or just reviewing the data, and please let us know. And this CQR process, and after just the submitting by the deadline, and the census will back to you by just September 30, and for any answers regarding your just the case. And census boundary and annexation survey is actually we collected the annexation data, and thank you so much for your effort. Also, there are some census urban area, other census 2020 information is available at this link, and this presentation will be shared after this meeting at the PAG website. And as we are kicking up our just the RMAP, the long range transportation planning effort, so we actually in the requesting and some just the data here and the general comprehensive plans and the specific plans, PAD, PDC, and the special project area. So as our protocol, we collect the data and approved or adopted. So if you have just any items you're working on, which may or may not be considered, and because of the protocol. So the data and we are asking is the GIS shapefile for both and the general comprehensive plans and the special plans, and plus just the special project area. And for general and the comprehensive plans, if you have a land use designation, changes, additions, and definitions, that really appreciate that. If possible, just if you could include relevant information about the build out capacity, density information, that will be just great, because of that's more likely just important, just a portion for us to estimate. And the specific plans, the PEDs, PTCs, and special project area, and the same like a shape files if it's available. The residential and the non-residential is a commercial. If you have any information about the planned units, build out capacity, or planned scale fit information for each just the type and the office, especially for commercial, office, industrial, retail, and that would be appreciated and together with and the specific timeline, then we can incorporate just those development. Okay, I think that's all I have. And do you have any questions about the census timeline and or just the data request? Okay, thank you. And just in case for any other questions regarding and PopTech meeting or anything? Okay, then just thank you so much. And now just 2:32, and we adjourn this meeting. Thank you. Hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.